Pickpocketing, snatching, paper tricks. A mobile phone gets stolen every 6 minutes in London. Many of these phones, snatched on Britain's streets, end up on the other side of the world, in this southern Chinese city called Shenzhen. But how?
I was just sending a message as I was crossing the road, like all of us do, like if we're checking our maps or something like that. And literally as I crossed the road, someone sort of swiped past me as I was in the middle of the road. And it took like 5 or 10 seconds to realise what had actually happened. And then I looked up and realised that this guy had taken my phone, this guy on a bike.
Thieves disguised with hoodies and glasses roam around the city, typically on electric bikes or motorcycles, allowing them to speed off after robbing their victims.
So I ran after this guy, but by the time I'd got, halfway out the road, the guy had completely gone, and my phone was gone, unlocked, with all my photos on it, all my messages on it, all my notes on it. So it was such a frustrating feeling. It's almost like an invasion of privacy because your whole life is on that phone. I think that was my first thought.
The UK's Metropolitan Police says robberies across England and Wales reached a record high in 2023, with around 85,000 mobile phones reported stolen that year. But according to the Labour Party's analysis of police data, only 1% of these thefts resulted in a charge. British police are aware that there is a market for stolen phones outside of the UK. However, they are struggling to develop effective techniques to tackle the problem. In most of the reported incidents, the stolen phones are first passed around the city where they're snatched from. Police claim that this makes it nearly impossible to deploy forces to specific locations fast enough to retrieve the phones.
So I spoke to the police through it's like an email chain, and within like 2 days I had a letter come through that said there was nothing more they could do and that the phone was gone, which is frustrating because your phone's gone and they're not even going to check the CCTV, they're not even going to check what has actually happened. It just feels like you've lost your phone and no one's going to do anything about it.
Typically, several days after the theft, the stolen devices are brought to distributors, who buy them in batches to later ship them en masse to other countries, where they can be reopened. Once the devices have crossed the UK border, it is too late to get them back. Many victims of phone theft report that when they follow their devices' locations through tracking apps, they were able to locate their phones in China weeks after the robbery. I
was tracking the phone anyway, and because I knew it had got stolen basically behind my house, and it suddenly went offline behind my house. And then it was moving around London, and then it went offline for probably 24 hours, and then this must have been 3 or 4 days after, I turned it on and it was to look at Find My iPhone, and it was in Hong Kong, I think. And within probably 24 hours after that, it was in Shenzhen.
Many victims track their stolen phones to the same Chinese city, Shenzhen. Furthermore, most even identified that their devices were all located on the very same street, Hua South Road, a place some refer to as China's Silicon Valley. In this area, there are many second-hand electronics shops, where hundreds of used phones are laid out for sale, and other electronic items, from processors to screens, are sold in abundance. A Sunday Times investigation found that stolen mobile phones are traded for anything from $85 to $970 in these shops. So why would criminals smuggle these devices to a market more than 7,000 kilometers away? After a mobile phone has been reported stolen or lost, the device is locked, and it is hard to unlock or resell stolen mobiles in the UK due to security measures. However, devices are more easily unlocked in China, and once unlocked, they are restored to factory settings to be sold second-hand. But the process does not end there. Thieves also require the phone's real owner to disconnect their user IDs from the stolen devices to be able to sell them. Some victims' immediate reaction to having their phones stolen is to remove their account from the devices out of data privacy concerns. But some who chose not to disconnect their IDs from their devices reported receiving threatening messages.
Well, originally they were pretending to be iCloud, so they were saying, please click this link, log into your iCloud, and then we can return your phone. And then the messages started getting more sinister.
Police have urged victims not to respond or comply with the thieves' demands. But this does not stop resellers in China. If a stolen mobile cannot be unlocked, or the real owner's account cannot be removed, they simply dismantle the phones and sell the parts separately. Or even assemble pieces from different phones together and create new phones, meaning the market also functions as an illegal electronics recycling hub. Either way, it remains a lucrative market for criminals who are operating a global smuggling business, from one end of the world to the other.
There you have it then. The video that I want to play on the boosters. Let's see if that is okay. And we'll see then. Let's see if this one has copyright as well.
Phone theft in London has reached alarming levels, with a device stolen every 6 minutes, amounting to 64,000 phones each year. Reports show a staggering 150% increase in this crime, prompting heightened concerns among residents and authorities alike. These thefts are often carried out by organised gangs using e-bikes and mopeds who target unsuspecting victims across the city and occasionally use violence. Stolen phones are often sold at pawn shops to make quick cash. Other devices have been tracked abroad, as far as China and Algeria. Despite the scale of the problem, over half of these cases are screened out for further investigation by the Metropolitan Police, leaving many victims feeling frustrated and helpless. However, City of London Police is taking a proactive stance. Their targeted, incept and tactical ANPR team, or Titan, launched earlier this year, is dedicated to tackling organised crime, including phone snatching.
Mobile phone thefts, or phone snatchers as it's been termed, is a priority for us. We have had success in getting them off the street and reducing the number of offenders that are within our ground.
Since August, Titan has made 40 arrests, seized 357 wraps of drugs, 13 weapons, thousands in cash, and disrupted organised crime networks operating in the square mile. Their efforts build on the city's Ring of Steel, initially introduced to counter IRA bombings in the 1990s, now repurposed to combat modern crimes. The Met Police is also ramping up efforts during the Christmas season, deploying additional patrols and pop-up stations in hotspots like Westminster, Oxford Street, and major transport hubs. A recent operation saw 4 prolific thieves jailed for handling more than 5,000 stolen mobiles and accessing bank accounts, with the cost of their crimes amounting to over £5 million. While progress is being made, victims outside high priority zones often face limited support, allowing culprits to escape unpunished. For now, Londoners are urged to stay vigilant and safeguard their devices, as phone thefts continue to be rampant in the capital.
And that was the last time you saw Mr. Page?
Yes. Is he going to be okay?
We don't know yet, I'm afraid. You also said that your father-in-law, Henry Walker, hasn't returned home yet. How long has he been missing?
He was supposed to be home 3 hours ago.
Okay. It's a bit early to report him missing, but I'll take a statement. So your name's Jenny Zielinski?
That's right.
And you're staying at the Grange, Marsh Lane, Long Crendon?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe Mr. Walker?
He's 62, I think.
Yeah.
He's average height and build. He has grey hair and glasses. I don't know what colour his eyes are.
They're brown. Here is a photo of him.
When did you last see him?
This morning, around 10.
Where were you?
At his house in Long Crendon.
And do you remember what he was wearing?
Just a brown jacket, a dark green shirt, and jeans.
Do you remember anything unusual about the last time you saw him?
Yes, actually. We were going to go to Oxford, but Henry's 2 front tires had been punctured.
Really? So you left for Oxford and he stayed to fix the car?
Yes.
Do you know what his plans were for the rest of the day?
No.
Can you give me some idea of his normal routine?
Not really.
Well, he's an academic. He teaches at the university a few days a week, but he often works from home. He goes on a lot of long walks, but never this late.
And Jenny, do you remember seeing anything unusual when you got back to the house this afternoon?
Well, there was my suitcase. The airport had returned my lost luggage, and the lock was broken.
Is there anything else?
There's some books on the floor.
Really? That's weird. Henry's normally really tidy.
Okay, try not to worry. We'll look into this. In the meantime, perhaps you should stay with Luke. And if you think of anything else or he turns up, give me a call.